Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast, where we celebrate individuals and families, businesses, and organizations that seek out and promote the exploration, stewardship, conservation, access, and enjoyment of the outdoors. Our guest today is Robert Annis. Rob is a freelance outdoor journalist, travel writer, and gear reviewer. Now, Rob joined us last year on the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. Rob is joining us today to chat about one of his recent pieces, The Ultimate Guide to All 8 Midwest National Parks, which he wrote for MidWestLiving. And of these 8 guides, Rob has his hand in 7 of those. And I'll tell you, those are vacations of a lifetime. So, Rob, it's great to have you back on the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. And I'm just surprised to see you at home.
Hey, it's great to be back. I rarely ever get asked back to places, so I appreciate it.
Hey, it's my pleasure. And you and I have had a couple conversations prior to when you were first on the podcast. I think it was back in August of last year. We had just come back from our national conference for the Outdoor Writers Association of America. I was in Casper. And I remember either during that conversation or maybe one of the conversations we had since then, you were going to Isle Royale National Park. And I just remember, oh my God, there's a place that I grew up near, relatively speaking, in Michigan and never got to. And now you get to go there. And so I'm curious, this piece that you did for MidWestLiving, all 8 of these. Now I know you had your hand in 7 of those, but how does one, first off, begin to get an assignment like this? Do they just come to you? Do you pitch this idea? How does this come about?
Well, luckily, I'd worked with my editor there, Julia, quite a bit, and she's amazing, super talented. I still have no idea why she works with me, but I'm glad she does. And she knew that I'd visit quite a few national parks and travel extensively through the Midwest. So she asked me if I wanted to help out with this piece, and it worked out that I've been to all those parks, and I had things to say. And it's funny that my actual favorite of all those national parks is probably Theodore Roosevelt National Park, the one that I didn't actually get to write about.
Okay.
But yeah, it was great. It's just such a wonderful thing to be able to introduce readers to these places that are practically in their backyards, but many people don't know about or much about at all.
Okay. Coming from Chicago, I was aware of Indiana Dunes National Park. I will say I've only I'm going to age myself, in the near 30 years of living in Chicago, I think I was there once.
Hmm.
And that was because there's a highway, it's like Highway 41, I think, that takes you from Chicago over to Michigan City, Indiana. And the park is literally that south end of Lake Michigan. Oh, let's stop at the dunes and take a couple pictures. So that was I visited the park for 30 minutes and that was it. But I imagine there's so much more to do there. So thinking about this project in its entirety, did you need to go back and revisit? Did you have this work already collected? Because again, you're a huge fan of the Midwest and the travel and the parks. Had you had some of this material already, or did you have to go back and really revisit for the first time, so to speak?
Not really. I'm lucky that, with the exception of one park, which is Gateway Arch in St. Louis, I've been to all the parks fairly recently.
Okay.
So they're still somewhat fresh in my mind. Yeah, I was in Indiana Dunes quite a bit last year, as well as Isle Royale. Same thing with Badlands, Wind Cave, Theodore Roosevelt. So yeah, I've been quite a few of those places fairly recently, so I was able to write about them um, hopefully fairly knowledgeably.
Okay. Now, in the West, I live in Nevada, and I'm a member of some of these travel groups out here, and people talk about, oh, we're coming to Utah to see the Big Five, and they want to do the drive, however they decide to do it.
Mm.
I hope they have a lot of time because there's so much to see. With the case of the Midwest parks, so we have Badlands, Wind Caves, Cuyahoga, Gateway, Arch. By the way, when I moved from Chicago to Las Vegas, I spent a night in St. Louis, and I actually was in the park. I didn't realize I was in a national park. Who knew? Isle Royal, Theodore Roosevelt, and Voyagers. Is this perhaps Isle Royal notwithstanding, is this an adventure that a family is going to take maybe over 2 or 3 weeks, or are they so far apart you really have to say, okay, this is one or two, we're going to get one of these in this year and we'll go to the next one the year after. And so until you cover all eight.
It would be difficult to cover all 8 in a couple of weeks, assuming you want to spend time in each one.
Mhm.
So when I've done them in the past, usually I'll break them into uh, different road trips. I've done Isle Royal and Voyagers at the same time. I've done Wind Cave, Theodore Roosevelt, and Badlands at the same time. So yeah, I would pick a few of your favorites and go from there.